right, good evening everybody. Hopefully you all are doing well. It's a beautiful night here in New York City. We are reporting live on the corner of West Broadway and Chambers Street. We're gonna head into Lower Manhattan today and hopefully walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. It is extremely clear out tonight, although it did rain a little bit earlier in the day, but it's gorgeous. We're sort of kicking this monster heat wave, if you will. Now, yesterday in Manhattan, in some parts, I think near Canal Street and even near Midtown Manhattan, it was upwards of 105 degrees in the city. It was crazy, crazy hot. Felt much hotter than what it usually feels like in South Florida. Hopefully you all are having a very fantastic weekend. Today is Saturday, July 29th, 2022. 23, my God, taking you back in time. I think it's a much needed break. We got interest rate hikes in the form of 25 basis points on Wednesday as we listened to the speech of Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. But even with that, we had monster corporate earnings. The vast majority of the big cap or mega cap tech stocks reported, with the majority of those earnings coming in better than expected. Even some of these particular companies deciding to raise their forward guidance and beating revenue estimates on their guide. Now, next week is going to be, I would say, just about as busy. We're going to have two notable companies that are going to be reporting. That's really going to set the pace for this market. Real quick, if you look all the way in the distance, it is a gorgeous view of One Vanderbilt. You can sort of see the blue spire, but you could also see the Jenga building, which is a really, really unique ultra luxury apartment building here in sort of the Tribeca neighborhood, which I think we'll have time. Let's actually take a walk past it because they just installed, I'm not really sure if you can call it I guess a monument, maybe an art sort of site. If anybody here is from Chicago, you know, one of the main attractions in Chicago is that big bean structure. They actually put one right at the base of this building here. So maybe we'll walk and check that out. But to sort of get a little bit back on track here, next week we're gonna have Apple reporting, right? Tim Cook's company, which is the largest company in the S&P 500 by market cap. And we are also going to be hearing from Amazon. Now, when we hear from Amazon, that is going to round out all of the large cloud computing players. We heard from Microsoft with their Azure cloud platform. We heard from Google with their Google cloud platform. This is a great shot right here of the World Trade Center, looking phenomenal tonight. So it's going to be a big week. Tonight, we'll sort of take a break. It's Saturday, we'll walk around, we'll explore the city, we'll have a good time, but I do want to quickly comment on the conversation we had last night, which I think was a great conversation, talking about automation, talking about artificial intelligence, and how that is going to expand gross margins in corporate America, and I think lead to an earnings boom in the country. Now, additionally, if you want to talk about tailwinds, one of the things that a lot of the multinational companies have on its side right now is a weaker US dollar. If you remember back in 2022, one of the main headwinds for many companies was a very, very strong dollar. The dollar is actually taking a little bit of a beating, which could actually boost corporate earnings. So we'll talk about that as well. But for now, we'll say hello to everybody in the chat and we will get the stream started. Hey, I see Gary Carpenter's here. What's up? This is Good Evening Tom from North Carolina. Good to see all of our viewers in the Carolinas. The Papa Smurf OG, the FDNY is in the chat. What's up? It was so hot the other day, the FDNY opened up a few fire hydrants in New York City. Yeah, I noticed that they usually do that, right? Now, I remember a couple summers ago, I was actually working in East New York, Brooklyn. And that gets, it just like bakes. East New York, Brooklyn, for anybody who's ever been there. it literally just like bakes in the sun. East New York, Ocean Hill, extremely hot. I remember I'd take the Long Island Railroad from Massapequa Park, and I'd get off at Nostrand Avenue and sort of walk through Ocean Hill up to Gates Avenue. I was doing some consulting with a very large, one of the largest home health care providers in New York. This is a beautiful shot here. Now, one of the things you'll notice as we venture deeper towards Lower Manhattan is the beautiful architectural diversity that this city has to offer. Now, usually we're streaming in Midtown, Billionaires Row, with these, you know, super glitzy and glamorous and even gaudy, if you will. You could use that as a descriptive term. But one of the reasons why I like being down here is because it brings you back to that original feel in New York. And I think this picture really does it justice. I see Ryan Beck. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you from Texas. Deborah's here, says, hey Tom, the bean is under the scaffolding now. You can only see a little bit. Oh, is it? Is that true? Well, I mean, I guess it was only a matter of time before that. How classic is that? The moment the city does something interesting, they just slam scaffolding on the top of it. Thank you for telling me that, by the way, Deborah. Appreciate that. Hey, Dan Sang, what's up? This is Tom. I made a mistake of jogging outside today at 5 p.m. Should have waited to go out until now. Yeah, a little bit of a mistake, but I guess the good news is you probably burned, you know, triple if not quadruple the amount of calories you would have. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, it wasn't as hot as it was yesterday. Yesterday was crazy. Very, very seldom does it get that hot in New York. We usually don't have too many 102 degree, 103 degree days. But Manhattan's interesting, right? To Dan Sang's point. The temperature really varies depending on where you are. It's not going to be as hot on the Upper West Side. It's not going to be hot on the Upper East Side because a lot of those streets have really nice canopy, right? Which is trees, which is greenery, shrubs. A place like Canal Street, which we're actually coming up on here in a bit, there's nothing. It's just pure concrete jungle. So the place roasts in the sun, if you will. This is a cool place across the street. We were on West Broadway. Andy says it's 58 degrees in upstate New York. My God. That would feel pretty freezing to us. John Julius says, hey there, Tom. Out doing my walk and listening. Thank you for walking and talking with us. Fascinating is here. I see Bradley says hello from Las Vegas. Vegas is in the chat. Now, I had the pleasure of going to Las Vegas about, I think, 2 years ago now. Let's check out some of this art. This is unique, right? Look at this. Since it's Saturday, we'll sort of take our time checking some things out. But a couple years ago, I actually went to Vegas on one of the hottest days on record in Las Vegas. I think it was almost 100 and what, maybe 17, 18 degrees. It was crazy. It just felt like you were in an oven. Love Vegas. I think it's a great town. I just don't know if I could ever live there personally. But good to see everybody from Vegas. The wind is picking up, so I may have to put it on the microphone. I'm not too sure how bad the wind noise is right now. But we're coming up on Worth Street, and then we're gonna make a right. And I'll show you guys the bean that's under there. Harry Connor, what's up? Says it rained all day in upstate New York. That's so crazy because it only rained for like a teeny bit. It was like a quick downpour in Manhattan. But I actually spent the majority of the day in Bushwick, Brooklyn. Now, I'm not super familiar with Bushwick. I've worked in other places in Brooklyn before, but I could tell that the gentrification of Bushwick, Brooklyn is in full effect, right? Now, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just making an observation. You know, maybe I'll put you guys down for 2 seconds and I'll put on the microphone because I think the wind is going to pick up throughout the night. ASMR John, what's up? Okay, can you guys hear me now? So this is the microphone. It usually dampens the wind noise. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. GGNYC is much better. Perfect. Now look at these gorgeous Belgian block. Teresa Diaz, TD, that was for you. But look at these gorgeous streets down here. It's sort of the original New York feel. Now, the vast majority of these original Belgian block streets are paved over, unfortunately. But the city has managed to preserve quite a few of these original streets. Now, I told you earlier, well, not earlier in the week, last week, Friday, I was actually in Red Hook, Brooklyn. That's right, Red Hook, Brooklyn. Very unique neighborhood. It almost doesn't feel like you're even in New York City. It kind of has a little bit of a New England vibe, like a fisherman's town, kind of. Everything is very tight-knit, very close community, very clean, by the way, and very secluded. It's sort of like an oasis within New York City. And one of the things that I noticed immediately off the bat was all of the Belgian block streets that they have there down in Red Hook. So it almost kind of has a Soho vibe depending on which streets you walk down when you're in Red Hook. So if I could explain it, maybe we'll do some walking videos down there, because looks like I'm gonna get assigned to a pretty interesting project over in Red Hook. One of the ways I could describe it is a mix between Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and Soho. Sort of like a blend between those two. It's not super hipster where everybody's walking around with piercings all over the place. It's more of a lower key vibe where actually a lot of Nets players choose to live there just because it's a little bit more secluded. It's quite nice, but that's one of the things I noticed right off the bat was the beautiful Belgian block streets. Now, here's another thing I like as we venture towards Lower Manhattan. All the original buildings with the beautiful fire escapes. Absolutely gorgeous here. Ooh, Deborah was right. Ah, that's a bummer. Anyway, this is the bean, if you will. This is New York's copycat of the Chicago bean. Maybe if I cross the street, you guys will be able to see a little bit better. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that they put scaffolding up here. Now this is Leonard Street. This is an ultra luxury apartment complex. Amazing design. A lot of notable people live or have lived in this building. Looks like they're ripping up the street. Look at that big steel I-beam they're bringing up. Now it's crazy to see something like this in real time, because those steel I-beams weigh a ton. I mean, I don't think people really understand just how heavy those things are. And you have this Kubota, I think that's what it's called, just literally ripping it up out of the street. It's wild. Look at that. But here it is. This is the bean. It looks like they accidentally scratched it, maybe. It looks like they need to polish it. Yeah, Josie says, I heard Kevin Durant lived in Red Hook. So I'm working on some interesting projects there. Hopefully within the next week I'll be able to disclose and inform you guys on what I've been working on for the last 6 to 8 months. But look at that. Do you think this is on purpose, the scratch, or maybe it was just dinged up when they were putting up the scaffolding? But it looks like it's all buffed up. I don't know, kind of cool. I thought I'd show you guys. Love all these original, almost like Soho-esque with the original fire escapes. Very beautiful. Yeah, Ed Podcast is very unique looking balconies. Well, they call it the Jenga building, right? It sort of looks like, if you ever played the game Jenga, it's sort of what it looks like. This is some really interesting galleries too. Look at that. Walking right down here is like a wind tunnel, but I think we kind of needed the wind to cool us off a little bit. Jonathan says, hey Tom, do you like beer? I don't drink alcohol. I'm not saying alcohol is bad, right? Because there are some people that are like, oh, I don't drink, so I'm all high and mighty and pompous. It's just a personal choice. I mean, I just never really been interested in it. So I wouldn't particularly say I like it. No, I don't really drink, not too much. This is some perspective here. Look at that traffic light. That's how windy it is tonight. It feels like 25-mile-an-hour gusts. It may not seem like it on the stream, but it is. Let me assure you of that. Right as we get to the end of the block here, you're going to have an amazing view of One World Trade Center. So what I think we'll do tonight, we'll make a lap around the World Trade Center. We'll see the Oculus. And then we'll head to the Brooklyn Bridge because it is completely clear tonight. That means we're going to be able to see amazing views from the top of the Brooklyn Bridge all the way to Midtown Manhattan, all the way to Billionaires Row, and all the way to the Hudson Yards. So I think that's going to be awesome. Joan, sorry about that. Yeah, sometimes I can mix up words and numbers. That's just my dyslexia. So don't get offended. It's my bad. Yes, Me Medius is nice night for a walk. It is. Feels a lot better than a lot better than it did yesterday. Now I quickly got to tell you guys, sort of piggybacking off of what we talked about yesterday. And I know it's Saturday. I know. So we're not supposed to talk about the financial markets, but I think since it's fresh in our memory, right, from our conversation about automation, AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, as it relates to expanding gross margins at companies and increasing, right? My thesis is that AI, automation, machine learning is going to massively increase corporate profits in America. Okay, that is my thesis. Some people would disagree, and that's fine. I found this video that I'd like to share with you guys. So if you type !suite, SWEET in the chat, the Nightbot should drop the YouTube link so you could watch this video. And this is just one simple example of how automation is going to completely change the way we do business, the way we transact, and just commerce in general. So the video, I'll sort of preface it a little bit. Obviously, everybody's heard of Sweet Green, right? Look at this. Looks like they're doing some major renovations here. Maybe it was an old Chinese restaurant that they're doing renovations to. But Sweet Greens is like a QSR restaurant for salad, right? Similar to Chopped, so Chopped and Sweet Green. Now, one of the largest expenses of Sweet Green particularly is their employee expense. And hi guys. Hey, good to see you. Is their employee expense, right? So you walk into Sweet Green, you order your salad, and it takes a long time because, you know, the line's out the door, the employees have to make it. So they've just rolled out their first fully automated store, if you will. Now, use your imagination after you watch that video and just apply that same process to other QSR restaurants across the country. For example, Chipotle, ticker symbol CMG. Imagine if you could walk in and instead of actually ordering from an employee that makes your bowl, you're just gonna have a kiosk where you tell the machine what you want and it's gonna go through an assembly line. And that is gonna save so much money for these corporations, you have no idea, right? Just think about every little step in the process that could potentially cost the corporation money. For example, let's say if an employee scoops too much rice, let's say if they scoop too much chicken, all of that adds up. Now, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just talking strictly from corporate profits. So if you can have an assembly line and essentially program the machine to put exactly 1 cup of rice, right, or whatever it may be, exactly 1 cup of chicken, it's going to get it right down to the T. So not only are you going to save on a lot of the food slippage, if you will, but you're going to save on the employee costs, right? Paying employees to do this. And this is just stage 1, right? This is just one particular store that is in beta testing. Usually, as the old saying goes, I think Steve Jobs sort of said this first. He's like, people will often severely overestimate what you can do in the short term and severely underestimate what you can do in the long term. I think it's the same thing with AI, with machine learning, with cloud computing specifically. Look what happened over the last 12 years. So if you think about McDonald's, right? If anybody's ever walked into McDonald's recently, chances are they have all kiosks for you to order. Now, they still have employees making the food, but in 10 years, you're probably not going to have employees making the food. You're probably going to have maybe 2 people working in the whole McDonald's just overseeing the robots. That is going to be a massive expansion to gross margins, and you could literally probably double it'll probably be a double in corporate profits. So where do you think the market is going to go in 10 years if corporate profits double in the United States? And it is my thesis that a lot of people are going to get caught off guard here. Now, I also want to just briefly clarify something, because there's probably a bunch of chats going by that are saying something along the lines of, well, Tom, why do you think this is a good thing? Why do you think that, this is going to be horrible? A lot of people are going to be thrown out of work. I totally understand that. I'm sort of speculating on this solely from a purpose of the financials, right? I'm not expressing a worldview, whether I think this is good or not. What I'm saying is, if you're in the money management business and you're in the business of picking investments or picking individual stocks, one of the biggest components in that is determining corporate earnings and where earnings are going to go. Are earnings going to go up? Are earnings going to go down? Are earnings going to stay the same? And again, watch that video, maybe for you, those of you who are just joining. If you type !sweet, SWEET in the chat, it'll drop the link to Sweetgreen's first fully automated store. Just take that sample, okay, and project that systematic framework to every industry across the United States. From hospitality to even the real estate business is probably going to be totally transformed. So I think that's where, piggybacking off of our discussions from yesterday, that's where the world is headed, whether we like it or not. So I just thought I would, throw that in tonight's stream. I know we're not supposed to be talking about, this type of stuff on a Saturday, but I just thought it was so powerful and so eye-opening that I had to bring it up. All right, let me catch up on some of the comments. We are now here at Park Place. Dee says, everybody worried that by the year 2000, in the majority of the jobs were going to be taken over by robots. Brick Stonewall says profits will go up and people will go down to the unemployment office. I disagree with that, but I definitely understand. Frank says, coming from Detroit auto workers union family, every decade less jobs, there is a tipping point. Fascinating says, I will boycott any restaurants. Steph UH says, cultures have always adjusted to change, but it could be hard to do. Yeah, so I mean, here's sort of my viewpoint on that. And if you look at the data is pretty clear. For every job that AI automation is going to destroy, it's going to probably create about 5 or 6 more jobs for every job it destroys. Real quick, this is 99 Church Street. This is a very, very highly sought after restaurant. This is Wolfgang Puck's restaurant. It's called Cut by Wolfgang Puck. Really, really nice restaurant. But here's the problem, and I've been skimming through a lot of the chats, and I think you guys are spot on. The problem is the jobs that are going to be created from this are going to require a completely different set of skills. Completely different set of skills. You think about software engineering, right? These are going to be hard skills, not soft skills jobs. So very, very hard skill jobs. And the problem is the vast majority of people who hold jobs in the United States that are most susceptible to being disrupted by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the like, those individuals do not possess these skills to operate proficiently in the new economy. And I think that's a really, really dangerous place to be. Now, there was some additional comments saying, you know, Andrew Yang warned us about this. You're absolutely right. Now, Andrew Yang and myself couldn't be further probably on the opposite sides of the political spectrum, but I think he's absolutely bang on accurate as it relates to AI and automation. And I actually think his ideas are pretty good, but I'll hold that thought. Guys, check this out. We are now standing on the corner of Church Street and Vesey, right outside of the gorgeous One World Trade Center. Look at how awesome that looks. Now, where I agree with Andrew Yang is that we need to be investing heavily into re-educating and retooling the American populace for a modern workforce, right? And that's going to take a lot of firepower to do that. And that's probably going to take a lot of government subsidy to do that. And I would actually agree with that. Now, as it relates to traditional universal basic income in its most traditional sense, I would probably disagree a little bit there. But what I would agree with and what I would feel comfortable with tax dollars going towards is maybe a stipend to specific employees that enroll into courses. You know, maybe people who are most susceptible to have their jobs being automated away, if they want to enroll into new job training programs, right? Computer science programs. I would feel totally comfortable and okay with tax dollars paying for that specific education, so long as it goes towards skills that are going to be most sought after for the new economy. I mean, we spend money on sending billions to, you know, all over the world. You know, billions of dollars to drop bombs on innocent people overseas. I would feel more comfortable with spending that money retooling and educating our own populace to operate efficiently in the new environment. And if we do that, and you do it the right way, and you do it appropriately, think about the economic boom that's going to come out of that. So I think it's an interesting conversation. I think a lot of the chats that are going by in the YouTube comment section now are really thought-provoking and interesting. And I think it's a necessary conversation to have. Wow, look at this shot, guys. This is Cortlandt Street Station. Okay, you can get the R and the W trains. And what you're looking at right now is the Oculus. So this, if you go right inside here, for those of you who are new to the stream, you'll be able to get all of the subway lines, the 1, 2, and 3, the A, C, and E. You'll be able to get the PATH train to go to New Jersey, but in addition to that, it's an entire mall down there. There's an Apple store, there's, pretty much anything you could think of is down there, restaurants. They did a really, really good job in sort of rebuilding this area after 9/11. And I think they did a really good job in the World Trade Center too. I think it looks fantastic. Yeah, Carl Roth says hacking security jobs will be needed. Joan K says education is important. It is, I think it's really important. Hey, Sunshine After Rain is here, what's up? 446, this sounds like a reverse stock split on the jobs. More tents are going to pop up in San Francisco. Interesting. Mass is better to invest in the companies that will make the machines that replace our jobs. We wouldn't work anymore and we wouldn't make money in the long run. Maybe. Fascinating says the robots can take temperature. Yeah, I mean, I think, maybe being a little bit optimistic about it, I think a lot of the jobs that are going to be ordered away are quite monotonous in nature, and then some things that we wouldn't want to do anyway. I think it's just a natural progression. But yeah, I thought it was important just to show like the nuances. And again, going back to that quote, that's one of my favorite quotes actually. People severely underestimate, or people severely overestimate what they can do in the short term, and severely underestimate what they can do in the long term. And that applies to technology, right? Think about the price action in the stock market in the 2000 tech and telecom boom. Any company who had .com at the end of its name went to the stratosphere, even if the company was pre-revenue, right? That was market participants overestimating what technology could do in the short term. And once the market bottomed out, everybody was super pessimistic on the internet. I mean, there's old archived CNBC videos of people saying, you know what, the internet's not going to work. Who wants email when we have the post office? I mean, these are real interviews, right? So I think in 10 years, the world's going to look a lot different. I think it's going to be for the better. And I think people are going to adapt. I think humans are going to adapt. We've adapted for thousands of years. I think this is no different. Hey, Sabrina Fair is here. Good to see you, Sabrina. Thanks for joining us on this gorgeous night in Lower Manhattan. We have now officially made it inside the Oculus. Very clean, very bright in here. Actually, a surprisingly large amount of people. I guess it is Saturday. A lot of tourists sort of hanging out. Hey, Paul Little, good to see you, Paul. Hispanic causing panic says education or knowledge, because education is going to school and you can gain knowledge by books, online, etc. Interesting. Myra King says, good evening, Tom and chat. Happy Saturday. Thank you, Myra. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, maybe on the optimistic side, right? If we could try to do a quick reframe here. If you think about, one of the biggest arguments is, the boomers had it so easy. My parents had it so easy growing up. It's so much harder for me to make it as a Gen Z or millennial. I would, respectfully disagree with that as a fellow Gen Z. I mean, think about the instant access to information we had. When my parents were, in high school, they couldn't just literally Google something and you essentially have every single answer you want in the palm of your hand, right? You actually needed to go somewhere called a library, and you needed to go look things up in books and figure it out on your own, if you will. Now access to information is completely instant. And also access to proximity is instant. Think about the odds or the probabilities of a teenager interacting and having a conversation with a chief executive officer of a Fortune 500 company, back in the 1970s or 1980s. It was pretty slim to none. Now, you could do that pretty much overnight by just creating a Twitter account. Actually, it's called X now, and join a Twitter space, right, with business and industry leaders that give talks openly almost every day on Twitter Spaces. And essentially the biggest archive database in the world of educational material that exists, which is YouTube. You could take free college courses, you could take free and watch free MIT lectures, Harvard Business School lectures, NYU Stern lectures, all for free online for the cost of $0. The only cost is the opportunity cost of you actually spending your time to watch it. So I think that's something to think about as well, and to understand as well. So the media, and a lot of the times just the internet and social media itself, tends to be more negative and try to spin a negative frame, because that's what gets more views. But when you really sit down and think about it, life has gotten better for the vast majority of Americans throughout the years. Hey, Ryan Beck says, I will say that millennials are probably the most well-versed, as we were exposed to both eras of technology transition. It's actually a really good point too. Yeah, I'd say anybody maybe 35, maybe even a little less than that, you probably went to middle school without, smartphones and the like. Maybe you were a freshman in college and you didn't have that. So seeing that transition is huge, for sure. Really, really huge. Now here we have the Apple Store inside the Oculus. I'll give you one more quick look. You can see everybody getting off the PATH train. Look at that. These are all people coming from New Jersey into the city. Hey, Brian Forrest is here. What's up? Astro Storm, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. Hope you took some time to rest and recharge on this gorgeous Saturday. Tons of people coming off the train. Chris Jins says, can you use a Metro card on PATH? You cannot. I do not think you can. I think it's a whole new ticketing system on the PATH train. Ed Podkay says libraries and books are becoming a thing of the past. Well, one of the things that's really encouraging about local libraries, at least here in New York, is they're offering audiobooks now for free. Has anybody ever taken out an audiobook from a local library? I mean, that's game changer type stuff. And I think the problem is not a lot of people take advantage of it and utilize it. All right, let's head out here. Let's head towards the Brooklyn Bridge. Hey, Andrew, thank you so much for your $5 donation. This is last week I asked you about NVIDIA and I sold it off after that comment you made. Are we getting a dead cat bounce as I notice price up every day? Says Andrew. I just got to say again, I wouldn't make investment decisions based upon what I say here, right? This is just open dialogue, open discussion, amongst the group here, right? So I wouldn't take actual affirmative action on specific things that I say. I'm not, an advisor. I'm not essentially licensed or qualified to do that and advise you on that. But what I could say in relation to big cap tech in and of itself is the following. Oh wow, it feels like it was louder in there than it is out here. Anyway, what I think is going to happen for big cap and mega cap tech is a little bit of a pause or a pullback over the remainder of the summer. Now, one of the reasons why I think this, and the reason why I feel this way, is because this is actually what usually happens. right? You go through the summer doldrums, if you will, all the way into Labor Day. Now, what's encouraging in this market, now that's actually not a bearish thing. That would actually be quite a bullish sign. If we have these large caps sort of selling off on light volume and the market rotating into smaller caps, right? So one of the things you could look for, and what's actually happening right now, is money managers are rotating or allocating capital away from large cap names into the Russell 2000, right? So if you look up ticker symbol IWM, it's actually getting a pretty decent bid, which is good news, right? Because you want to see the breadth of the market improving to sort of give you additional clues that this is a sustainable bull market. Now, lastly, which I think we may have mentioned at the beginning in this live stream, but I think this is very critical to keep tabs on and talk about, is the strength of the US dollar, okay? So take a look at the Dixie, ticker symbol DXY, and this is going to be extremely important to pay attention to throughout the remainder of this earnings season, particularly next week when Apple reports earnings. Now, does anybody remember, and this is very important, the last two earnings reports, Tim Cook coming on the call specifically. Oh, this is cool. This is like a chessboard. A rhino and a dog playing chess. It's hilarious. But Tim Cook said specifically that they would have had record revenue. I think this was 3 earnings reports now. I'm just trying to shield you guys away from the wind. It is crazy windy. It's probably like 25-mile-an-hour wind. They would have had record-breaking revenue and profitability if it weren't for a very, very strong US dollar. Because you got to understand, a company as big as Apple, a company as big as Microsoft, that are big multinationals, right, that deal in multiple different countries. The problem is when you have an extremely, extremely strong dollar, the foreign currency revenue, when you go to convert that and do the currency conversion, you can buy a lot less US dollars with the foreign currency. So that eats into earnings. Now, what's happened over the last 2 months? As I give you guys one last shot of the Oculus. Now, over the last 2 months, what we've been seeing is actually the dollar weakening quite significantly, which is just another, in my perspective, bullish catalyst for corporate earnings, particularly for companies that deal and have a lot of revenue in foreign currency, like in the yuan, in the yen, in the euro, right? And NVIDIA is a company that deals all over the world. Ooh, I stepped on a roach. So that's sort of what I'd say. The topic for tonight's stream, even though we weren't supposed to have one, was artificial intelligence, automation, and NVIDIA is pretty much the leader in AI, right? In semiconductors. If you don't have semiconductors, if you don't have those chips, you don't have machine learning, you don't have cloud computing, you don't literally have any of the growth engines or the growth drivers that are going to propel the economy. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, let's head towards the Brooklyn Bridge, guys. But if you're enjoying the live stream so far tonight, you can feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually start these streams at about 8:30. Now, we may have enough time for me to take you past 130 William on our way there. Hey, Virgo Vibes, Tom, I'm a librarian here. If you think libraries only offer print books / journals, etc., you haven't been to a library recently. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I mean, I think we just talked about that 5 minutes ago, but it's a very good point. You could take out audiobooks now from the local library. Here in New York City, it's so phenomenal, and I hammer on this all the time. This is one thing that I think governments don't do a good enough job of. And it's spending advertising dollars to drive the youth into libraries and educate them on the resources they offer, right? So to your point, right, we have a librarian in the chat. I would actually bet if you went around New York City and you interviewed random teenagers and said, hey, did you know you could go to the New York Public Library and take out an audiobook for free? I would probably bet about 20% of those teens knew that. And I think that would actually be a little bit generous. So, you know, here in New York, we have Bloomberg terminals you could use for free. You know, I paid $24,000 a year for a Bloomberg terminal, okay? And you can use it for free in the New York Public Library. Almost nobody knows that. I mean, think about that. If you want, you know, if you're interested in starting up a hedge fund and you have everything in place and you want to get a Bloomberg terminal, Michael Bloomberg is going to send you a bill for 24 grand a year per license. That's per employee, okay? You can use that for free whenever you want at the New York Public Library. Nobody knows that, but you can. Right on the corner of 41st Street, adjacent to Stephen Schwartzman building, you take the elevator to the 5th floor, and you're more than welcome to use the Bloomberg terminals for as long as you want because nobody uses them. You'll probably even see me there. But that's a good point. You know, libraries offer so much in terms of ebooks, you know, probably Kindle books, even audiobooks. You know, governments and local municipalities waste so much money. I think it's worth it to, you know, have targeted Facebook advertisements, targeted Instagram advertisements that goes right to the phones of kids to say, hey, did you know you can get a free audiobook from the New York Public Library? Swipe up, right? Think about the impact that would have. That'd be huge. You know, advertisements about how to use a Bloomberg terminal. I think they have courses, free classes of instructors that are at the New York Public Library that'll teach you how to use the terminal. Nobody shows up for the courses. I was actually thinking about, oh guys, look at this place. This is cool. It's like a little breakfast bar spot. I love walking past all these little cafes. It's so unique. It's a French cafe. Look at how nice that is. This is one of the things I love about New York. You could just be randomly walking down the street and you walk past like a little quaint cafe like this. This is really nice. Let's look at the menu. Let's see what they got. Might as well. Prices aren't that bad either, honestly. You know, avocado toast at a place in Midtown Manhattan would be like 24 bucks. Seriously, like 20 bucks, 24 bucks. You can get it for a fraction of the cost of that place. Anyway, I'm going, I have an attention span of a squirrel. Hey, Dwayne, what's up? Says it's nice to support local establishments. I agree with you, Dwayne. Thank you for joining us. MFS says ebooks are almost as expensive as paperback, hardbound or softbound books. Lady Sarita says I love French cafes. One here on Maiden. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, Vivian says prices aren't that bad. I see Zozo Bob in the chat. Zozo Bob, I will be back. You know, Zozo Bob, I think I have your email address. I was on an interesting work call today. I may be spending a lot of time in Sarasota, Florida. You know, I mean, hopefully the streaming will be good from Sarasota, but more on that later. Yeah, Dwayne, we actually do. So in Little Italy, New York, which maybe we'll do a live stream from there tomorrow, we have the San Gennaro's Feast, which is every year, which is a blast. It's an awesome time. I'm definitely going this year. Now, guess where we are, team? This is the Federal Reserve. We heard from the Federal Reserve this week. This is the New York Fed. Now, the vast majority of the world's gold is inside this building, about, I think, 3 or 4 stories down. This is the almighty and all-powerful Federal Reserve. They even have their own police force. The building has its own police force, so it's like Fort Knox here, literally. Hey, Sam Plays is here. Welcome. Good to see you, Sam. Fahad Khan, this is nice. Cool winds here on Long Island in New York City. It was definitely much needed, Fahad. Much needed. Sam Plays is, what area in New York City are you in? We are in Lower Manhattan, and we are standing directly outside of the Federal Reserve. You can see this police cruiser. It looks like NYPD. It's not. It's actually the Federal Reserve Police. You can see it, sort of the insignia on the side here. The police at the Federal Reserve. Here's an officer right here. Very cool. Wow, OP chance is 7 levels down. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. MFS is Ron Paul has it right about the Fed. Yeah, and I mean, I would tend to agree with him. You know, I try to cover the Fed from a non-biased standpoint, just because I don't really like to jam my personal views about things down the throats of people. I just try to just give basic general information, and when I do have an opinion, I make sure I tell you first and say, this is my view. Doesn't mean I'm right, it doesn't mean I'm wrong, this is just my view. But I am an end the Fed type guy. I do not like the Federal Reserve at all. So hopefully I didn't say it too loud. Jerome Powell's probably listening behind us. Hey, Lady Sarita's here. What's up? Yeah, DA says, wow, I didn't know the Federal Reserve had their own police. Now, many people don't know that the Federal Reserve is not part of the federal government. It's a private entity. It has nothing to do with the federal government. A lot of Americans get confused. They think Federal Reserve, they think, oh, federal government. No. It has nothing to do with the government. It's not a government entity at all. So I'm really excited to take you guys to an amazing building. And I'm talking about absolutely jaw-dropping, gorgeous, okay? Now, the building is called 130 William. Now, if you'd like to look at it, if you go to the link in the description here, I think there's a link to my IG page. Oh, look at this. This is a good view of the World Trade Center here. It's a really nice view. But you can see some still videos of what it looks like in some of the penthouses at 130 William. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous property. Now, in 2022, 130 William was the best-selling condominium in New York. It was the best-selling. The building's about 90% sold out, and it's interesting because, from what I hear, okay, allegedly, you got to say it, you know, fair housing laws. The vast majority of the owners actually live in the building. Now, that's quite the contrary to what we talk about as it relates to Billionaires Row. You think about Central Park Tower. You think about 157, 432 Park Avenue, 53 West 53rd Street, 111 West 57th Street, the Steinway building. The vast majority of owners do not use those residences as their primary. If anything, they're pied-à-terres, that they may live in them for maybe a month out of the year, and even some, get this, the most expensive penthouse that was ever sold at the top of 432 Park Avenue was bought by an ultra-wealthy gentleman from Saudi Arabia, and he's never been to it. I think he purchased almost about $100 million for the apartment, and he's never even set foot inside the place. Now, the Alexander brothers, who used to have the best performing team at Douglas Elliman, they have the listing. They're actually relisting. It's a resale. They're relisting the apartment. Oh, I actually think this is the developer of the building, or the architect of the building. Anyway, so the Alexander team, which they have their own company now, they have their own brokerage, they have the listing. And I think it's listed for about $80 million. So it'd be about a $20 million haircut should they sell it. But this is sort of the courtyard here at 130 William. It's gorgeous. Super, super cool. Now, the architect on this is Sir David Ajay. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Super talented architect. Now, the building has everything. It has an indoor basketball court. It has a 2-lane swimming pool, which is salt water. It has a full fitness center and gym. But I think most importantly what it has is amazing views of not only the Brooklyn Bridge, but the Manhattan Bridge, and depending on how clear the day is, or how clear the night is, you could even see the Williamsburg Bridge from there as well. Resident of the Abyss is joining us. Good to see you. Now, if you have a west-facing apartment, this is essentially your view. Look at that. You have a full-on view of One World Trade Center looking at Fulton Street. Now, this is actually the front of the building, which is technically on Fulton Street. J49 says you got to get us some apartment views. Yeah, check it out. I mainly upload a lot of the apartment tours that I do on my IG account, on my Meta Instagram account, if you will. So you can check that out there. But here is a more full-on shot of 130 William. Hawaii's like, I invite all of you over to my place at 130 William when I get it. I would be there all the time if you ever got a place there, for sure. It's one of my favorite buildings in Manhattan. I think as of right now, so this is where the swimming pool is. You can see the little bigger ceiling heights. I would say taller ceiling heights. Very unique windows, but that is where they have the pool. And the attention to detail in terms of the architecture of the building, both inside and out, is really breathtaking and really stunning. The swimming pool is reminiscent of all of the bathtubs and the kitchen sinks in the individual units. So if you want to see a video of what the swimming pool looks like, it actually has like a faucet going into the swimming pool, which is the same exact finishes that you have in your individual apartment unit, which is crazy. Very cool. We are now going to head down to the South Street Seaport. We're going to go right down Fulton Street until we can't go any longer. We'll see what's going on at the Seaport tonight, which is probably going to be pretty packed, right? Saturday night. This is a gorgeous yellow lab. I used to have a yellow lab too. I would say one of the most friendly dog breeds by far is a yellow lab. Chocolate labs too. Hey, Michelle Henry says if I had 80 million, I probably wouldn't be seen very much. and you take a very long trip. Sounds like a plan to me. Austin city limits, my dog is doing really well. I appreciate you asking. Now, I have a beagle. Well, I used to have a lab, you know, way back when I was a kid. But now I have a beagle, Snoopy dog. Now, when I first got the dog, that was its name. It was actually named Snoopy. But I changed the name. Hey, Jen, what's up? Says, are there any hotels that you would recommend or areas to stay? I hope to come to New York City during Christmas. Yeah, I mean, I would first say, Jen, what is your budget? Okay, because if you're talking about Manhattan, there is so much diversity in terms of price, in terms of location, in terms of the feng shui of the building, if you'd like. You know, I could give amazing hotel recommendations that are going to be like $1,000 a night, right? You could think about the Park Hyatt, which is an amazing hotel. Okay, that is well worth the stay. Now, the Park Hyatt, here's something interesting about the Park Hyatt. It's inside 157. So if you're not familiar with the building, I want you to go ahead and look it up. What's so unique about 157 is it is the first building that was ever constructed on New York City's Billionaires Row. The developer was Extel. They've also developed a second building on Billionaires Row called Central Park Tower. Now, in 157, on one side of the building, you have the 5-star hotel Park Hyatt, and on the other side of the building, you have the residences, right? I think units there, now that there's so much more inventory on the market in terms of ultra luxury, I think units start, from what I know that's on the market right now, right about 3.5, 3.6. You could probably get a nice 1-bedroom for 3.5, 3.6. But I think room rates tonight at the Park Hyatt started about $1,000 a night. But if you venture up to the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which is more tranquil, it's more quiet, it's going to give a feel of not even being in Manhattan. It's going to give a feel of living in a neighborhood, right? Very family friendly. You can find some hotels or even long-term Airbnb stays for maybe $150 to $300 a night. And you're going to live in a really nice place. You may even get a very interesting spot in one of the original brownstones on the Upper West Side. So if you want some specific recommendations, shoot me an email, walkswallstreet@gmail.com. Email me anytime what your budget is for the trip, and I will give you a diatribe of information that I think will be useful to you. Okay, we are now at South Street Seaport, but I want to go to the Tin Building tonight because this is the first summer that the Tin Building is actually open. Hey, Battery Grams is joining us. Thanks for coming. Welcome to Manhattan. Travel-sized life, I see. Cayenne Pacific says, Tom, are you a cat person? I'm not actually. I'm not really a cat person, but ever since I got my place in Miami, I've sort of been forced into becoming a cat person, if you will. Quite literally, there's probably 15 stray cats hanging in and around my house at any given time. So I've sort of been forced to become a cat person. Now this is really unique. Look at this. This says Hut. What does this say? Hit the Deck? Hit the Deck Boxing Gym. This is super unique. Look at that. Very cool. This is outside of the iPic Theaters in the South Street Seaport Museum. Hey, DWG is here, Western Mass Dave. Always a pleasure to see you, Dave. Now, if you haven't been to the South Street Seaport before, I think it's worth your while to come here if you're visiting New York. This bookstore is very cool, very unique. There used to be like a coffee bar in here. It doesn't look like it's here anymore. Let's see. Oh, it's on the other side. You can kind of see it through here. Let's see. Yeah, it's still here. Okay, I was just getting a little bit confused. But yeah, it's a cool little coffee bar inside the bookstore. It's really nice. It's a really cool spot. This entire neighborhood is really cool, and the thing is, a lot of tourists don't know about it, right? If you're a tourist brand new to New York, you think Times Square, you think Central Park, you think all of the, I would say, the most notable attractions. Not a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go to the South Street Seaport, but I think this is a major selling point for the neighborhood. Now check this out. As we cross the street, hopefully we don't get knocked off by a car, you're going to see the Tin Building. And the Tin Building is brand new. Okay, this is the first summer that the Tin Building is open for operation. There's restaurants, there's bars, there's a boutique grocery store, all in this building here at Pier 17. Now it actually looks like they have an outdoor bar. I think we saw this the last time we were streaming here, but look at how nice it is. Lots of people dining outside. You can see the bartender doing his thing. And you have gorgeous views of downtown Brooklyn. This big building sticking up all the way in the distance is actually the old Dimes Savings Bank, which is now an ultra-luxury apartment condominium. And look at all the original boats here. Robert, I think it's the wind. If you're hearing any like crackling in the audio, it doesn't look like it, but it's very windy tonight. There's like 20 mile an hour gusts. So it could be the microphone, you know, blowing up against my bag and whatnot. Justin S says, do you think Apple will release a foldable phone? I don't think so. Usually Apple is a forward-looking innovator. They're usually not a copycat. And I feel as if Apple released a foldable phone, they would just be a copycat. Now check this out. If you look all the way in the distance, that's the Brooklyn Bridge. So you have all of this beautiful outdoor dining space with breathtaking views of the Brooklyn Bridge. It's amazing. So imagine if you live down here at 1 Wall Street, at 130 William. Not only do you get to live in one of the most pristine buildings in Manhattan, you have all of the South Street Seaport, Pier 17, and the Tin Building is your backyard. I mean, that's a blessing in and of itself. Hey, Joe Driver's here. What's up, Joe? Now, I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you guys tonight, but I gotta point out one more notable condominium complex, okay? Now, we talked about 157, we talked about Central Park Tower. One of the best developers in the city, Gary Burnett, he owns Extel. He also built this building, which is right behind the Brooklyn Bridge, that is called One Manhattan Square. It is an ultra-luxury condominium with breathtaking views of the Manhattan Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Williamsburg Bridge, and all of Lower Manhattan, the South Street Seaport, and the World Trade Center. It's a fantastic building. Stay tuned. We're actually going to be doing some work there, maybe. We'll see. And this is sort of the grocery store, the bar. I think it may be closed now. think it is closed. Oh no, it's open. All right, we'll see if we can do a quick walkthrough. I don't think we've been here before. So you can see the wine bar here. Oh, it's buffering in here. We'll exit. We'll have to exit. Yeah, maybe the internet's a little bit wonky. Well, at least you got to see a little bit inside. It is really nice in there. It's kind of a shame that it's buffering, but look, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams every night, starting at 8:30 p.m. We talk about the financial markets Monday through Friday. Saturday is sort of our day to relax, and Sunday is our markets look ahead stream. But you know what I just noticed? Does anybody see this big concrete structure right here, this unfinished building? Now, unfortunately, it's actually going to stay like this for quite some time. The developers did a horrible job, and the building is actually leaning. Now, you can't tell from this far away, but the building is actually leaning, and if they continued construction and put the glass frame on it, the building could actually fall over. So the construction is on hold. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I don't know how they're going to fix it. So for now, you're going to see this big unfinished structure right across the street from the South Street Seaport for probably, I don't know, the next 3 to 4 years until it gets settled in the courts. But yeah, apparently well, I got to watch what I say here. Allegedly, I'll say allegedly, the developer cut corners on building the foundation. They didn't drill deep enough, so the building is leaning. Now, it's totally safe right now, according to the engineers. So there's going to be no issues right now, but if they put the glass frame on, the building could be at risk of falling over. So hopefully they didn't do any pre-sales, because a lot of times on these new condominiums, oh, look at this dog. It's like a dachshund mix. That was a cool little dog. But usually on a lot of these condominiums, they do pre-sales, and sometimes people commit deposits. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. We'll keep you updated, I guess. All right, so what did you guys think of the Seaport? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Would you guys come here? What do you think? Paul says, hey Tom, what is your #1 favorite building in Manhattan? That's easy question. My #1 favorite building in Manhattan is actually the Seagram building. It is a commercial space on Park Avenue. It's my all-time favorite building, and they actually may be in a little bit of trouble now, but I'll sort of keep my mouth closed. Look at this. They built sandcastle for the Seaport. Hey, Colton is here. What's up? Thanks for joining us. Hey, Andrew, thank you so much. 80% of all inventions occur during war times. I didn't know that. That's just a really interesting fact. Thank you for supporting the live stream. And thank you for your very kind donation. I did not know that. 80% of all inventions occur during war times. Huh. Did not know that. It's very cool. It seems like as of late, the US is in wartime all the time. Be it a real war or proxy war. All right, we got to be steadfast now to the Brooklyn Bridge because I got to get you guys up there before the battery dies, which I think we will be able to do. Maybe we'll take a shortcut. I was going to take you all the way up Fulton Street again, but maybe we'll just take a little bit of a shortcut. Yeah, Chicken Wing Pete's Seaport is rocking. It's an amazing place, and you know, this is why I've been coming down here more often than not, is because I think I need to showcase not only potential tourists, but New Yorkers of what the Seaport has to offer. You'd be surprised. I mean, when you get caught up in the rat race in Manhattan, very, very seldom do New Yorkers explore new places. And I think the Seaport, they've done a really great job with revitalizing the neighborhood, revitalizing the area, and not a lot of people know about it. So I think over the next couple of years, I think you're going to see more and more people down here enjoying it. Ah, fascinating. Very interesting. Now, I think they have that same problem in San Francisco, right? Isn't there one of the specific towers that's actually leaning, quite literally? What building is that, by the way? It's losing my mind here for a moment. But I think they had to get engineers in there specifically to straighten out the building. Now look at how cool this place is, guys. Now, if you just came to the stream and you didn't read the title that says New York City Live, you probably couldn't even tell which city you're in. Ah, the Millennium Tower, you're right. Jeff, thank you so much. Hey, Roy. Oh, Roy, what's up, man? It says you're right, Tom. The Millennium Tower in San Francisco is leaning. So, Roy, what's up with that? Roy's from San Francisco. He does a good show over there. I thought they fixed it. Didn't they fix it? They had engineers go in there and actually pump the ground filled with water, and that somehow lifted the building right up. I don't know. All right, let's sort of explore this neighborhood. This is beautiful, the outdoor dining setups they have here. This is super unique. I love the music. This is Beekman Street. Oh, and look, would you look at that? You have a beautiful view of 130 William. And you also have a Doge right here, your own Doge, Shiba Inu. Ah, Roy says, hey Tom, it's still leaning. There's heavy equipment trucks there still working on it. That to me is wild. So did they have to vacate the building? Let's explore some of the restaurants here. This is called Fresh Salt.
No, that's a bee. That is a bee. You kill a bee.
Looks cool. We'll walk, we'll make a right on Front Street. Hey, Andy's here from South Korea. Good to see you, Andy. Thanks for joining us. Wow, I think the view from across the street is even nicer. Look at the original fire escapes it has on the building. That's really nice. Yeah, Western Mass Davis is 130 William, the home of the most amazing windows. It's really true, man. I think the architect did a fantastic job. I'd say Olympia Dumbo and 130 William are probably the two, I would say the two competing top developments in my eyes. It's close, it's neck and neck. All right, one more shot of this awesome bar scene here. You got a Jack's Coffee. You've never been there? Looks like a lot of the places are closing down. I forgot we started the stream a little bit late. I think we checked out this shop the last time. Let's look at some of the prices. Not too bad. You know, $24 a plate. Not horrible. This is the Brooklyn Bridge here. Hey, Sea Level says, hey Tom, what is your take on ghost cities? Is it to create jobs and keep people working in them? Well, I think the vast majority of that happens in China, right? Now, there was this fascinating mini documentary series, which I think can be found on YouTube. Look at that, Brooklyn Bridge, awesome. We're about to head up there now. Look at how windy it is. Look at the American flag. Now, I'm not an expert in ghost cities. I really don't know. It's kind of a mystery to me as well. I think it's just poor urban planning. That's what I would say. I think a lot of that stuff exists in China. I would say poor urban planning and maybe even a little bit of ego too. Just to give the appearance, if you will, of affluence. The reason why I say poor urban planning is because they've used the old turn of phrase, if you will. And that old turn of phrase is, if you build it, they will come. Has anybody ever heard of that old turn of phrase? If you build it, they will come. Well, there's tens and hundreds of cities in China where they built full functioning and working cities, and nobody ever came to live in them. I don't know, what do you think about the ghost cities? Look at that, gorgeous view of the moon amongst the clouds here. And an amazing shot of One World Trade Center. Hey, Choose's Beautiful Night, what's up? Geeky Lawrence 2007 says, Tom, the phrase is from Field of Dreams, 1989. I did not know that. Thank you for saying that. Look at how beautiful the World Trade Center looks tonight. Jeff W277 says, go the distance. We're going to try, man. I got to put a little bit of pep in my step to get you guys over the Brooklyn Bridge. Because the battery is dwindling, my friends. It's dwindling. Just trying to navigate all the scaffolding here. Dover Street and Pearl Street. We're going to make a left. Now, right as we walk up past Pearl Street, this is going to take us right to Pace University. Pace University is a very famous school here in Lower Manhattan, very notable business school as well. Hey, the Mighty Bull is joining us. But this is the on-ramp to the Brooklyn Bridge. We just have to go to the end, make a right, and then that'll take us all the way up top to where we need to go. Yeah, Chu says Manhattan is one of the most expensive places to live. It is. It is. I think the average rent in Manhattan is over $5,000 a month. Now, granted, I don't really like using the average as a good statistic because here in Manhattan we have ultra luxury rentals, right? Some of our rentals could be $100,000 a month, right? We just put somebody in a $24,000 a month rental, sight unseen, by the way. So that skews the averages. If you want to check out a gorgeous building, which is very different than the Billionaire's Row-esque buildings, it is a very beautiful, fully renovated Soho loft. I want you guys to check out 74 Grand Street. 74 Grand Street. This is one of the charging stations for your EVs. Love to see it. Now, the facade of the building is all original cast iron. It is absolutely gorgeous. But on the inside, total gut renovation, brand new loft in Soho. And they rent for about $24,000 a month. And I think there's only 2 units left on the market. Okay, Gold Street, which Gold Street has been, half closed down for quite some time. Hey, Matt Smith, thank you so much for joining us here at Walks on Wall Street. What we usually do, we do have a lot of new individuals here, which I do appreciate, so welcome everybody. This is a live stream where we walk around New York City, we walk around Miami, Florida, and Monday through Friday we discuss the financial markets. We talk about the equity market, talk about the real estate market, fixed income. Saturdays, we sort of just have a chat, we walk around, explore the city. And then Sundays is our Markets a Look Ahead stream. See, this guy is trying to look for the bike path, and they changed it. I'm not sure if you guys know or not. The Brooklyn Bridge, it used to be totally just horrible, okay? There used to be bikes, pedestrians, mopeds, scooters, everything, all clumped into one. It was very dangerous. What the city did is they removed the bike path from the Brooklyn Bridge and actually put it on the lower level of the bridge to where you can drive over it. So the pedestrian walking path is now exclusive to pedestrians only, which is great. Here's the wind. It's a good shot of the American flag. Okay, I think we'll just make it over. Hey Nick, this is Tom. I'm coming back to New York City soon for work. What are your top restaurant recommendations in Manhattan? Hey dude, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, I'll rattle some of them off, all right? If you want to know specifically, shoot me an email or direct message me on Twitter or Instagram. I guess it's now called X. It's not even called Twitter anymore. But I'll rattle a couple of them off. A good Italian spot is Becco, B-E-C-C-O. It's on New York City's Restaurant Row. If you're looking for very good Korean food, check out Take 31, T-A-K-E 31. Then you could go to Her Name is Han, fantastic restaurant on 31st Street. If you want to go get some Thai food, you could take the 1 train to 86th Street, the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and you can go to Sen, S-E-N-N, which my friend owns, full disclosure, which is a great restaurant. Now, I'll give you another restaurant recommendation, but if you choose to go here, you've got to email me first, because I'll make sure you guys get hooked up to the fullest extent, okay? The restaurant is called Mel's, M-E-L-S, M-E-L-S, okay, Mel's. You could look it up. It's right in Chelsea Market. My friend is the head chef there, co-owner and head chef. So if you're taking out clients or really doing whatever and you want to go there, make sure you email me first, and I will make sure you have an amazing experience there. It's a fantastic place. It's a little pricey, but it's worth it. All right, a couple more. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Jacob's Pickle is okay on the Upper West Side. Jin Ramen is also very good on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. If you want to go to Chinatown and go to the best restaurant, in my opinion, in Chinatown, you skip Joe Shanghai, don't go there, not a fan, and go to 456. That's what the restaurant is called. It's called 456 Restaurant. It's amazing in Chinatown, fantastic. If you want to go to a really good pizza spot that's going to have no line for tourists, it's called Made in New York Pizza. It's on the Upper West Side of Manhattan as well, very good. Prince Street Pizza is pretty good, but there's always a line. I think Made in New York is a little bit better. But yeah, if anybody is traveling to the city, right, on a work trip or even just a family vacation, if you send me an email or a direct message, I'll hook you guys up. I will load up the recommendations, trust me. Now, okay, here's a bonus, all right? I'll give you guys a bonus because the phone's about to die. If you want a fantastic, very unique Thai food restaurant in Brooklyn, you gotta go to this place. It's called Tong, T-O-N-G. Now, my friend owns it, and it's the same owner as Sen. So T-O-N-G, Tong, in Brooklyn, New York, fantastic. Same owner as Sen, a little bit different cuisine, very good. All right, so we are now on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. I want to thank everybody for coming out to the live stream tonight. I do have to cut it short, but we will be back here tomorrow, okay? If you guys want to connect with me off YouTube, you could follow us on Twitter at Walks Wall Street. You could follow us on Instagram at Walks Wall Street. If you need me, reach out. I'm more than happy to help. Until tomorrow, my friends, have a great weekend. Take some time to rest. Take some time to relax. Thank you for hanging out with me on this gorgeous Saturday night in New York. So Time Traveler, I appreciate it. Sabrina Fair, Madison 32, Abdullah, Unij 23, Cy, Austin City Limits, Ryan Beck. All of our great moderators, thank you so much. DM, thank you. Sherry Rodrigo. Joseph Hardaway line sink. There's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Have a fantastic Sunday. Get some rest. And we'll see you right back here live at 8:30. Take care. Sunshine after rain. Andy, thank you.